Hello folks, Derek Clark and Stevie Clifford inside the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Stevie, what do you make of it? First impressions?
It's very impressive inside. It really is. Outside it's a bit intimidating. It's a bit old and kind of rustic outside. Inside it's really impressive. It's going to be some atmosphere, that's for sure. A big night for Rangers. They need a response. They need to try and stand up. We're not going to be fooled as standing here and saying that, you know, we expect miracles tomorrow night. But what we do expect is a wee bit of heart and a wee bit of desire. So hopefully we can get that.
We've just had a chat there with Scott Arfield and Giovanni van Bronckhorst in the press conference. Stevie, what were your main takeaways from what the manager and Scott Arfield had to say?
Well, first of all, from the manager, it's always team news.
Yeah.
Glenn Kamara hasn't made it, Rabbi Matondo has, and he was quite honest. He says there'll be changes tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's, he also mentioned the fact that they couldn't bring some players with them due to European.
Yeah, like Roof.
Yeah, so obviously Roof's not going to be here. So there is going to be changes tomorrow. From Scotty Arfield, what I found interesting was when he talked about the fear factor of being here. Cannot afford any fear, and we cannot afford for them to know. Because as soon as they feel that you're scared or intimidated or you are fear factor in that, then they'll just come right after you. So that was an interesting thing. Spoke a wee bit about his voice in the dressing room and speaking to people one-on-one. A little forceful message in there. They've spoke to people and reminded them of what's required, and they need to pull their weight a wee bit. So he was very honest, and Scott Arfield does always speak well.
In terms of the changes from Saturday, what changes are you making then to that lineup?
Well, I'd start McGregor, McLaughlin, McCrory, all in goals. What changes do we make? To be honest, there isn't a lot. There isn't a lot. Does he change formation? Does Lundstrom drop in? Which I think will be a mistake because John's the only midfielder in there. There was a big disconnect on Saturday. We need to solve that. We need to play more as a unit. We need more from the midfield. I don't know how he solves it. It's not an easy one because Lundstrom is generally the only legs in there, and that's problematic. We know the issues with the midfield. We know we have to try and somehow fix that. That's Giovanni van Bronckhorst's big problem. We can all talk about who plays right. On the right hand side, is it Sakala, is it Scott Wright, or is it Rabbi Matondo? Whoever it is, they're all as good as each other. What we really need to sort is the middle of the park. It needs to be compact. Does he go 4 at the back and put James Sands in the middle next to John Lundstrom? Does he go 5 at the back and then put somebody like Davis and then next to Lundstrom, but Davis doesn't have the legs? So it's a difficult one. This is where we talk on the wider recruitment front and things like that. That I think it has been problematic. As soon as you lose somebody like Tom Lawrence from that midfield, it becomes really, really difficult. Tillman's not really performed in these big games where he's had to really put a shift in and dig in. So I feel for Van Bronckhorst that it's not an easy selection. Even talking here, we're kind of going through various permutations, but the issue is that there's been so many off form and so many that don't make themselves automatic standout picks that he's got a job on tomorrow. He has to somehow come here and make sure that this team don't collapse. He has to make sure that they stay compact and not do what we've seen previously. And the problem with him is they're playing the team that are top of the Serie A and probably one of the most informed teams in the world at the moment with amazing players, electric players. So it's a tough ask. But Van Bronckhorst's fighting for his job, and he needs to at least show that nobody expects. I'm not standing here thinking that we can win this game tomorrow or we can do this or whatever, but what we do expect as a support is that we put in an effort, we put in an organised and a performance of guts. That's all we want to see.
Yeah, but the manager said that a positive start is needed here to get any sort of result, and keeping it tight at half time he did mention as well. Can you see it from this Rangers team, Stevie, on what we've seen in the Champions League so far, or can you see another collapse that we've seen too often recently?
Bluntly, I fear a collapse. I fear a really difficult night. I fear a really tough night. What I hope, if it's going that way, that maybe Napoli take the foot off the gas and they don't press. If they press us the way Liverpool did at Ibrox, and if they decide they want goals, then it's there for them. That's my big issue. Unless there's a complete swing in our performance, in our attitude, and in our desire. You've got to have that. You've got to have desire to want to play at this level. We need at least a point to try and keep us in it. nobody's naive enough to sit here and say that it's it's looking likely or whatever. But all I'm asking for is that this team give it everything, and they at least perform with a wee bit of guts and a wee bit of spirit and heart. If we come away doing that and still get beat 3-4 or 2-0 or whatever, then fine, at least we can say. But if they collapse and down 2-0 the way they have in the past, then it's problematic, and that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, well listen, it's going to take a monumental effort from Rangers to take anything from this ground. Of course, Napoli, 11 matches in a row that they've won, equaling a record dating back to 1986 when Diego Maradona was around. So a big challenge for Rangers tomorrow night, folks. We'll have all the reaction, of course, the pre-match build-up, and of course after-match as well. So stay tuned on the Rangers Review social media accounts and the website for all of that. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.